Welcome to the Monday Morning Wake Up Call with your host, Kerry, managing broker at RE/MAX Elite, and Heather Holliday, your social marketing nut, talking about hottest real estate topics with a little weekly activity and motivation for the week. With a Good morning and happy Monday.
Ay, ay, ay. Happy Monday. It's a Monday. Oh my gosh. I like to get my screens open so that I can chat while we're recording, and I open up 3 screens. So getting them open anyway.
So you do know the trick,
No.
So you get your little reminders, right? So what I do is on those little notifications where those reminders are, I basically right click, open a new tab. So before I even get in the studio, I have everything open to just the videos.
Oh,
all different tabs.
okay.
So as soon as we put that intro video on, I go to that screen, I go to each tab, I refresh it. Now it's live. I mute it, and I just go through my tabs to do it.
I mean, that part of the problem is when I refresh it, I don't know, my computer is acting slow. Anyway, so happy Monday. So just a quick note, I've got new contacts. So hopefully you'll see me wear my glasses less. We'll see how these contacts work. And then when I'm done with this, it's a big day at SCAR where we are doing the candidate forum for the board of directors. So I have to run over there when we're done. And I'm super excited about today's topic because I have a lot to say.
It just seems like this has been a hot topic lately, just, with the market constantly making these shifts and the public's perception. And I say that basically Leo's perception and maybe with the media, like the sky's falling, whatnot, because look at all these price reductions. And I'm like, not really.
Right? Oh my gosh. It is I have to tell you that the topic is nonstop. So we're talking about 3 ways to keep your clients on track. And like you said, the market's moving so fast. There's stuff all over the news. The sky is falling, the sky is falling. And that's not necessarily the case. So the first thing is really setting realistic expectations for your customer, whether it's a buyer or a seller. Remember, we do this all day, every day. It's like I could do it with my eyes closed, I say, except for with the changes and kind of always wanting to learn and keep up with changes. But remember that they don't do this every day. So sometimes they don't fully comprehend the process. So you need to make sure that you are explaining everything to them. And one of the biggest things, and I was talking to an agent about this the other day, whether you have the buyer or the seller, I think a lot of places use a similar contract to us when we're doing what's called an as-is with the right to inspect and the right to cancel. And I am always telling agents, make sure you're really explaining that to your buyer or your seller. So on the seller side, it's an as-is contract. The buyer gets to do an inspection. If they decide to cancel during the inspection period, and here's the key, and this may be only in Florida, for any reason, they actually don't have to do an inspection during the inspection period.
My grandmother would drive down the neighborhood to make sure nobody had wind chimes. If they did, would knock on their door and say, if I bought this house, would you remove those? Like for any reason.
Yeah. Yes.
My mom, furniture wise,
so
she would always have buyer's remorse, and I did not want anyone to have to work with her if it was because I knew she's wanting the new thing, but she's going to change her mind in 3 days.
In 3 days. So if you really need to let your seller know during this, whatever it is, 5 days, 7 day, 10-day period, if the buyer changes their mind, they change their mind and we move on to the next. So as long as your seller is aware, I think then they don't get surprised. But the other thing is so the way the contract reads is they can continue or they can cancel. But the thing we don't talk about is when the buyer asks for repairs. And so the seller doesn't have to do repairs, but they can. And I always encourage my sellers, let's see what they're asking for. And if they are things that are safety issues that we think may be an issue with the next buyer, and it offers a little bit of goodwill, right? So it's, maybe an electrical outlet or a drip in a faucet or something. Yeah. It's not going to cost you a lot of money, but it offers some goodwill. It keeps your buyer in the game. It keeps them feeling like they're getting something. I think explaining those types of things up front to your seller is important. Same thing with the buyer. Hey, Mr. Buyer, we're in an as-is contract. After the inspection, you can cancel, you can continue. Now, the contract doesn't say this, but you could ask for some repairs. But keep in mind, the seller doesn't have to do them. So then you'll have to decide what you want to do from there. But that's one of the many topics about our contract, that as long as at the beginning, and I always take the time to explain it to my buyer and seller, kind of line by line, page by page, this is what the inspection means. This is what the loan application deadline means. You have to make loan application within 5 days. So if you want to shop a rate, you better start shopping now, but really keeping them on track and keeping them abreast of the situation and what the contract says.
And I loved Terry Watson. It's always letting them know what to expect, like when to expect, what to expect, so that there's no surprises, because you've already kind of discussed all of this. I think a lot of, it is kind of crazy how many agents, like newer agents that kind of maybe got into the market within the last 3 years, when it's coming to pricing. Yep. And really setting those true expectations on a seller who, had relatives that sold, 4 months ago.
Right.
It's a different ball game. And I feel like these price reductions may be more agents wanting the listing and like, well, let's try it. And
sorry, I don't know what I just did.
But I feel there's a lot of that as well. And it may be hard if somebody hasn't had to explain what this market is or pricing a home in the last 3 years. It's all changing right now.
Exactly. And so, we'll talk about this in a minute. So I was going to launch into a different direction, but that's the next, the last topic. So, but yeah. And I had a train of thought and I don't know where it went. So it's okay. It's our job not to jump into the craziness or the anxiety or the upsetness. It's our job to kind of talk our customer off the ledge and help them stay calm, because this is very emotional. This is a lot of money. It's a place somebody is going to be living and they want to love where they live. I tell people that all the time. If you don't love it, let's keep looking, and sometimes you don't love it because there's such low inventory that you kind of have to pick something. But, we're there to help talk them off the ledge as well, and we're not there to get into fights with the other agents and knock and drag each other down. We're there to make a transaction that's like this, that's smooth. We hope that everybody's happy. We hope that everybody feels like they've won at least a little bit, not that one person won and one person didn't win, so kind of being calm and the voice of reason. I was talking to an agent the other day and she's like, the other agent is doing this and this and this and this and this. And I said, okay, let's take her out of the equation. What if it's the buyer that's doing this and this and this, and they're the ones making all of those requests? Would you be as mad? But it's that immediate reaction to want to get into an argument with the other agent, and the other agent hopefully is only doing that which their customer requested. And sometimes this is going to lead into the next thing. Sometimes empathy goes a long way. So I had a customer who, she was working with me, and then she cheated on me at an open house. And the person that was doing the open house said, well, now you have to work with me or something. And she believed them. So she did. And they were going to make an offer on a listing. And she wanted to make a low offer with several contingencies: a home to sell contingency, an appraisal contingency, a loan contingency, obviously an inspection contingency. And the agent kept telling her, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. So that she finally, got upset and called me back and said, I have to tell you, I cheated and this is what happened, and I don't want to work with this person anymore. And I said, okay, well, let them know it's just not working out. I said, but look, I'm happy to make whatever offers you want to make, and we'll see where it takes us. And I said, but that agent's partially right. Those things probably won't win you that house, but let's try it. And if it doesn't, then we can go in and change some of these things to make your offer look more appealing. So I think where that agent went wrong is they were an adversary with their own customer. And it felt like they weren't representing the buyer. It felt like they were trying to represent the seller, and it wasn't their listing. And it made the buyer upset. So empathy goes a long way. You have to hear what your customer is asking for, and then you have to try and guide them in the right direction. Might they need to fail once or twice first? Unfortunately, yes, because although we do it every day and we see it every day, sometimes they feel like we're trying to kind of pigeonhole them into making a deal.
And my husband just likes to think whenever you buy something, it's like Craigslist. He doesn't want to pay full price for anything.
Right. He's the prime example, honestly. And I saw you laughing and I was like, oh, Leo, but that's a great, my own parents, didn't always want to use an agent when they bought or sold their house. It's just kind of human nature to feel like what you're being told may not be true, and you need to experience it for yourself.
I think that's when it's good when an agent actually buys or sells.
Yes.
And then it puts them back in that spot. And, when it is something you do day in and day out, you almost forget what the experience is like. And it is a huge investment. It's a big deal, especially, family and pets and moving. There's nothing easy about it.
No, not at all.
Selling a home that you grew up in or something like that there's a lot of memories. I feel the empathy and really listening. I think that goes a long way. And I just feel sometimes, it's just a daily routine for an agent, and they're not really stepping in the shoes of
and it really is eye-opening when it's your own property that you're buying or selling, and it reminds you of the process and how it feels, and that, I got a little bug flying around. And so if you can approach it from that point of view, as if it's, you've put yourself in their shoes, I think it'll help make the transaction go more smooth. This is not like sales 101. This is not like, I hate to say, this is not like buying or selling a car, although that's very stressful too. You and I have talked about that many times on this. It's not like buying a new sofa, or it's a huge.
There's so much more involved. There's memories and there's a lot to it.
There's so many moving parts, there's the movers, there's the packing, there's the utilities, there's the contract process, there's the making sure you hit deadlines. And the more you're able to explain that to your people and try and keep them calm throughout the process, I think the more successful you'll be, honestly.
Absolutely.
And the biggest thing, and the number three is take advantage with the numbers. Know your data, know what's happening in the market. So, when people say to me, oh my gosh, I saw the news and there's so many more houses on the market. Yeah, we went from 0.9 months of inventory. Now, in a normal market, it's 5 to 6 months of inventory. Okay. So in April, I believe we were at 0.9 months of inventory. And I think the new stats just came out and we're at 1.8 months of inventory. We are still, that's in Brevard County. Okay. But I know throughout the country, it's very similar. We are still in a market where there's not a lot of listings out there. There just isn't. Now, have buyers gotten, I don't know, used to the frenzy? That's not really right. Are they over the frenzy? We're not seeing, an open house with 30 people come through the open house and 15 offers anymore. That seems to have slowed down, and we're not seeing people no appraisal contingency paying 50,000 over or 100,000 over. That's calmed down a lot, but we still have buyers. There's always going to be people who have to buy. Relocation, marriage, divorce, babies. I said relocation. I mean, just wanting a better house, a bigger house, a smaller house, downsizing. That always happens. That is always out there. All of those things are always happening. So you're always having the buyers, but instead of when you have a consultation with your seller and you say, hey, Mr. Seller, I think we could probably sell your house for 700 to 725. When the seller says, okay, let's try 8, that is not happening anymore. 4 months ago, that might have happened. Not happening right now. So those are the things you need to know your numbers, educate your seller, and that way you can kind of regurgitate the information that of the stats that so you're able to even calm them down on those things.
And I think that's the big thing. I think it's not as emotional if you have that information in front of you, and especially the neighborhood or the comparable listings and what those new days on the market is, what they're actually selling for.
Well, that's the other one. I mean,
realistic and not saying, yeah, it can sell for 8, knowing comps are saying 725 and we're not, 6 months ago.
Right. Well, and I, we went from 0 to 1 days on market to like 12 to 13 days on market,
which is still
crazy. I mean, I remember part of my listing presentation years ago was my days on market average was 27 days and the MLS's days on market average was 43. Like, I remember that was part of my listing presentation, right? So 12 to 13, 14, 15, even 25 days on market is not a lot of days right now, So as long as you're letting your sellers know so they're not getting too anxious, and you're letting your buyers know, that even though it's been on the market for 12 days, there's not going to be a huge price reduction. So let's not go in super low because you're not going to get the house,
I think that it's Craigslist.
Yeah. Yeah. So, right. So funny. But even I watch Good Morning America every day. I put it on. It's sort of my background noise always. Well, it used to be the Today Show. That's a whole story. But, and then I switched to Good Morning America years ago. But I'll save that story for another time. But George Stephanopoulos was doing a report on, there's so many houses on the market now. And I was like, oh, George, I love you, but you're disappointing me right now because there's not that many.
No, but it's what the media puts out there. So that's where it's up to us to really educate what's happening on a local level.
Yes.
Because, I mean, what a regular consumer is seeing is what the media is putting out there. Maybe, someone in their family, in their market, another market, what it was like for them 5 months ago. And we're just in a different market. So being in the now and having that information collected and knowing your local stats up to date so that you can prepare the buyer or seller that you're working with what's going on in the market right now. I think it's great opportunities to be reaching out to your sphere and everything else with this information as well.
Well, and
they're local experts. We need to be pushing this stuff out.
you said something really, really important, which is the local thing. I am a big advocate and a believer in keeping it local. Can I sell any house in the state of Florida? Sure, I can. But selling a house in Tampa, I don't know all the local nuances. I don't know what's going on in the local market unless I'm a member of that MLS. But if I'm not, I'm a believer that you're doing your buyer or seller a disservice. I get that your friends, family, loyal customers want to use you, but sometimes it's just better to refer it to someone who's local, who knows what's going on in that market better. I mean, I know everything that's going on in Brevard County and the Space Coast MLS. I pay attention to it every day. I keep up with the stats. We do that post, that monthly post of the stats. And it's funny, I even have one of my investor customer friends, we've been working together for like 12 years. She called me one day and she's like, everybody's saying it's crashing. Oh my God, should I, sell off my houses? What should I do? And I sent her that stat slide that you do for us. And she was like, I knew I needed to talk to you. I knew you would put it in perspective. And now every month she's like, can you send me those stats again? Can you send me those stats again? So that she knows that the sky is not falling right now. And you know what? The sky might fall. It might.
Because we don't have a crystal ball.
Exactly. Exactly. But as long as you know what's going on, you can educate your buyers, your sellers, or the lady standing next to you in the grocery store line, who's asking you a question. I mean, I feel like I go places all the time and they'll ask, what's happening in the market, and so yeah. So that's it.
Lots of good stuff. What is our weekly activity this week?
Action moves you forward. What action can you take this week to break loose from whatever is holding you back?
I like that.
That's a big one. I mean, we're the ones, we are the creators of our own destiny. If you wake up and you say, I'm going to have a good day, I'm going to be happy, then you're going to be happy. My good friend Mitch Ryback, he's like, I choose to be happy, so choose to move forward, choose an action. And before you tell me the words of wisdom, I know that Catherine, my parents' best friends from before I was born, Catherine Miller, she watches every week. It's her birthday tomorrow, so I wanted to wish her a happy birthday. And okay, and then so real quick, I'm sure I told you guys, they were our neighbors in New York from before I was born until we moved to Florida in 1980. And then in 1997, they moved to Florida to live in the same neighborhood with my parents, where they all lived together until my mother moved to my neighborhood so she could be closer to me. And Catherine and Artie moved up to Georgia so they could be closer to their daughter. And so now we get to visit them, once a year or twice a year. Anyway, they've been a big part of our family, and happy birthday. And what are your words of wisdom?
Making me follow that.
I know, sorry.
All right, words of wisdom. The only person who's truly holding you back is you. No more excuses. It's time to change. It's time to live your life at a new level.
And that is awesome. That's Tony Robbins, who we love. So
yes. I'll drink that Kool-Aid all day long.
I will too. I mean, people laugh at me. I went twice now to see him, and people laugh. Sometimes people make fun of us that we went, but I will drink that Kool-Aid all day long. Maybe I need a refresher because I feel like I've been in a rut for a little bit, just post-COVID.
He has the new book out, so
I know.
I got all that. All right. Well, we've got some other great episodes. Don't forget, go to MondayMorningWakeUpCall.com, register for Reignite 2023, our business planning that starts. October 1st is going to be here before you know it.
So register, because there's homework, and that way you could, get ready to do your business planning. It's always fun and great and a lot to be learned.
And we actually have it where it's a full digital workbook this year, so you can autofill on your computer, which took me forever. So I was really glad you didn't make me make changes, because I'm like, oh my God, it took me like 4 hours of research to figure out how to do it. I did it, and don't ask me to do it again. So hopefully, that's a game changer. But you have to register, and then it automatically will give you that workbook to basically work off of. Till next week, wake up, kick ass, and repeat. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.